Perry Pencil.
Hello, this is Perry Pencil, and today I'm excited about the new CW series, which is Black Lightning. Also, this month I want to pay tribute to Black superheroes because this is Black History Month. Those of you who want to jump in and give me your opinion on your favorite Black character or comic book character, definitely let me know. I think this is super exciting, an exciting month. I'm also with Black Panther coming out, so help me out and definitely leave a comment on who's your favorite Black superhero, and I'll go ahead on and draw them for you. In the meantime, I want to go ahead and get jump started on Black Lightning. So let's begin. All right. Let's give a border at the top here. Then let's divide our page in half. As I always usually start my drawings off this way from right to left. That way we know which side the page you want the character to be on, or what position you want them in when you're drawing your character. So go ahead on and rough out an oval shape for the head and loosely draw this in. When it comes to structure, you can worry about all of that later. Divide the head in half and put an oval. Make sure the oval is slanted. Black Lightning is kind of leaning forward a little bit. The way his body or torso is angled is going to be a 3/4 view. So go ahead and put a line. If you see I'm arcing the line, I always go off of the center line. The center line is straight. And then you can take your thumb and your index finger, measure the shoulder there. As you see, what I'm doing is marking that point, and you can see where that mark has been left, so that that's the same width of the head. Go ahead and draw in a circle for the left shoulder and do what I call the coat hanger, which is comes from the neck oval and into the shoulder oval. And you complete it on the other side there. That way he lines up nice. Do the same measurements. I'm doing this so I can move down. This is going to be a waist high or bust to waist high drawing. As you notice, I went on ahead and measured that, and now I know where I want his chest to end. So go ahead on to the right side of his body and draw the outline of his chest. And for the left side there, if you notice, I'm cutting in on that pectoral muscle, which comes from that shoulder down to where the chest line is. And now I'm using the oval for the torso so that I know how far his waist needs to be. Now the other side of the shoulder is going to be less visible than the left shoulder, or if I said right, I meant to say right shoulder from your left. It's going to be, the right shoulder is going to be less visible. Now what you want to do is put an oval here. Usually what I do for the arms is use cylinders, and by that you use one oval for the top and another closed oval for the bottom of it, and put a circle for where the elbow is going to be. And of course for this drawing, because it is waist high, you're not going to see his forearm, so that's going to go off the bottom of the page. And then I'm defining his waist. His right arm, we're going to concentrate on his right hand because this is Black Lightning, so we want to show his right hand and that he's doing some of his electrical power, or showing that he has electrical power. And just draw a straight line just as I did. There's an oval, and then I usually do another oval for the thumb. That part there is the meaty part where the thumb poses and moves and articulates. And that's the pinky, and I'll do an oval for the ring finger. Then there's a put a bend in the middle finger. It's slightly longer, of course, than the ring finger, and then the index finger. The thumb is going to kind of be away from all the other fingers, of course, because he's holding his hand in an open position. Now, I want to focus on his face. Now, let's deal with the outside of the right side of his head. Black Lightning is wearing a close haircut. So we get the shape of the top of his head. And then put the eye line in, nose, and then one for the mouth. Now, I want to put his, looks like he's wearing goggles, protective goggles. So I want to put the top border in. What you do is come across the top of the face. I just put my temple line in so that I'll know where it cuts off on the left side of his head. Come across his forehead and go up to the right side and repeat the same process. If you notice, I've got a temple line there. Now we're gonna come at the bottom portion of it. Come to where the nose or center line is. And go up for the bridge of the nose, come over and down again. And then swing that in on a curve because there's an arc at the bottom of his goggles. Let's lay in his hairline. If you notice, right off the temple line, we just put a simple hairline in there. He does have a bit of a widow's peak. You notice it's like a small little V shape right there in the front of his hairline. And come right down on the other temple line right there for where his hair cuts off. Now we're going to deal with his ear. His ear sticks out away from his head a bit. You're going to come down to the bottom where the nose is, or the bottom of the goggles. If that helps you line up how long his ear needs to be, that does help from the top of his goggles to the bottom of the goggle. Now we're going to deal with his nose. For the nose, simply just put a line down and do the right nostril. Notice it's like a C shape. Then I usually put a line that divides in the center or onto the center line, and then his left nostril goes up and it comes around and kind of swoops over a little bit. And then put his left nostril in. And shade that nostril in a little bit so it doesn't look weird. Now, we're going to deal with his lips. Just do a simple M shape, and the corners of his mouth angles down a little bit, almost like he's frowning, but not too much, just a little bit. And then put that top lip in. If you notice, I repeated the same shape. And then the bottom lip is a little fuller than the top lip. And he has a full beard, so we're going to come to the outside of the right side of his face. Come around and establish where his chin is. And then close it. Now we can start to attempt to put his mustache in. And put a mustache line just underneath his nose and above the top lip. Same thing on the left side. And because he's has a full beard, bring that angle of the line down. And his beard does cover just underneath the lip, so it's not an open goatee at the bottom, so it just goes around his mouth completely. As far as his ear, you can put an S, almost S shape, and then close in the top portion of the opening of the ear. And of course we can see just a little bit of the outside of the ear, but I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. I'm zooming in at this point so that you can see closely what's going on. So at the bottom of his goggles, I'm defining that, touching it up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing step by step. Now his goggles are stylized in a way that has a little bit of jagged edges and things like that, overlapping shapes, so want to kind of pay attention to those little details. So you put lines on the left and right side and then close the middle where the bridge of the nose is. And at this point you're just filling in or following shapes and they repeat themselves. Bring that line down And he has another line that goes across there. The bridge of the goggles at least have about a good 4 lines, if not 5. Dealing with the lens of the top portion of the goggle, the left side of the goggle that is, and coming and sketching over the line that goes over to the left side of his face. Now the closing up portion of his lens, do the same thing for the right side. Now for the right side, you just simply have the lens come down straight. For the top portion of his goggles, just bring a line straight across, and then it goes up on an angle towards the left. Repeat that shape coming down towards the center of the goggles. And clean this side up so we can clearly see what's going on. Angle it and repeat the same shape that's on the left on the right. Usually what I do here is mirror image from right to left. And angle it where the temple line is. Now we put some reflection lines in. And add minor detail to the goggles. And go straight across because now we're going to put his eyes in. You can see some of his eye in both of the lenses. So I'm coming straight across and doing simplistic lines to define his eye, and then putting an eyelid in. You're not going to see the entire eye because of the light that's going to be coming into it. If you notice, just do a simple half circle shape, and then put a dot in for the retina, or the center of the eye. Now, same thing for the right side, but the difference is because his head is slightly off center, his right eye is going to be closer to the nose than the left side. You're going to see more of the left eye. And then repeat the same process. And if you noticed on the right side, I suggested it more than the left side because there's more light coming into the right lens. Now, I'm going to close that temple line in on the right side and make that more defined. Here I'm adding the other side of his, or the right ear. You don't see it as much as the left side, but it is there. I'm going to zoom back out. Go ahead and define his face and begin shading in his beard. So here what I'm doing is simple hatching, and if you notice they're all going in the same direction. So just as a tip, when you're shading in facial hair or anything like that, and you just want to keep it all one tone, keep your pencil the same weight. In other words, don't pick your pencil up, put it back down, and press harder or anything like that, because then it's going to look somewhat different. And get rid of the center line on his lips a little bit. Now, doing shading his hair in, same process, going from right to left. here what I want to do is just speed up this process, or do a time lapse when I shade his hair in and do some minor cleanup detail, and then resume after that's done. Now, under his neck, we're going to go ahead on, everything is already there. So I'm going to start concentrating on his outfit. And I'm going in here with my pencil and sketching in the outline of his outfit. When you're doing this, you just want to focus on laying in light detail of what you already know is there. Because we have the structure there, now we just have to dress him up. Repeat the same thing for the right side. And here I can start to refine the shape of Black Lightning, the outside of his outfit. And if you notice, I'm doing some contour drawing here. That's just darkening or refining the lines that I'm sure about. And here I'm laying in the center of his chest. And notice I'm using all the guidelines that's already there. So for instance, that center line in the center is where I was able to put the line for his chest, and now I'm going to be putting in that lightning bolt. I'm going to be putting in that lightning bolt that's on the outside of his outfit, or the front of his outfit. And notice I'm using shapes to define that. Measuring, and then coming over, and then it kind of comes down in zigzags. And these are the things that you want to focus on as you're drawing and sketching and working on a character, is taking the time to look at how things look to you. And here I'm going on and refine that line with another breaking of the part of his outfit, and this line that actually overlaps the lightning bolt on his chest is kind of a design that kind of comes around to the contour of his rib cage. And here I'm going to lay in the right side and repeat the same process, but it's a bit distorted because his body is angled a certain way, 3/4 view. And it zigzags one more time just underneath his chest, and it repeats the same way on the outside, or towards his rib cage. Then you're just going to take that line right off the page. And notice I'm measuring by looking from the left side. Use the left side to measure what the right side should look like, and you can kind of judge it and then go from there. And it kind of makes the drawing and developing part of the outfits and things like that a little easier. And also, if you notice, when I pause, as I'm drawing, I take the time to kind of assess and look at where things are. Just as a tip, you don't rush in, and when you rush, you end up losing where things are, and it doesn't quite come out the way you might want it to come out. And then there's another contour outside of that line that's already been defined there. So these are just shapes that I'm defining now, that the way his outfit is designed. So if you follow this closely, I usually suggest go at your own pace. You don't need to feel rushed or like you have to keep up with what I'm doing. I try to go at a comfortable place so that whoever's watching the video can follow me as I take my time and put things in. I try not to go too fast. And here, these are just overlapping lines that's on the outfit. Now I'm going to work on his shoulder pad. this is kind of a design that's out, or it's almost bevel just pushing out away from the form. So he has these shoulder pads that stick out away from the outfit. And then there's a shape within that shape, a square shape with some curves on it. And then, as you can notice, I'll drop another one in there. Now I'm going to move down to the bicep and tricep portion of his arm. And just where his rib cage is, there's a little bit of gadgets and a few other things that's on the outfit that's around his body, almost like a body armor or a bulletproof vest. Now this portion of his arm is another partition or separation from the shoulder pad to the middle of his bicep and tricep. He has another part, and it looks like underneath the torso portion of his outfit, he has some kind of tights that has patterns on it, and we'll get to that in a little bit. And that shape right there is almost like a shark's fin. That's kind of the way I'm describing it. It looks like to me a little like a shark's fin on there, but it's an opening that lights up. And the rest of his arm is just going to go off the page. Not a lot of detail there. Finish that and take that off the page as well on his right side. And now I'm just paying attention to the waist portion of the outfit, and the rest of that can go off the page as well. There's just some simple lines here. Now we're going to concentrate on his forearm and his hand. Here, if you notice, there's not a lot of detail here because the lightning that's going to be in his right hand is going to cover that. You're not going to really see a lot of detail in his hand anyway. So the hand, the only thing you really need to be concerned about is the way the hand is positioned and the way he's posing his hand. But the lightning that's in his right hand is going to cover those details up. And when I just put that lightning in, it's free flowing and not particularly that defined, only because I call it an abstract form. So whenever you draw lightning and things like that, or clouds, you can go at your own leisure, or whatever makes you comfortable when you're drawing. Notice I'm only focusing on the top portion of his fingers and his thumb. The rest of his hand is not that important to me. I'm doing a lot of indications, or suggestive drawing is where you suggest that form and your mind makes up the rest of it. And the rest of the lightning is going to go off the page. And what I'm doing is erasing out certain portions of his hand, if you notice, just so that the lightning can wrap around the form. Now I'm going to focus on a pattern that is on Black Lightning's underlying part of his suit. And honestly, this right here, what I did is just put a bunch of parallel lines and just angle them in certain ways, because that's kind of what the outfit looks like. It doesn't have any particular form or pattern, and what you can do is do what I'm doing here and just sketch kind of angular lines or directional lines, and to put like some T's in there, and just kind of have fun with it. Because when people see it, their minds are going to make up the rest of it. It's going to look like a pattern that's on the outfit that you see on a TV series. So I try and help other artists out not to obsess about certain things when it comes to drawing. So right now I'm pretty much just having fun with the drawing. Just putting shapes in where I feel like they should go, and honestly, if I don't like them later, you can always go back and make some changes. And then here, I'm just doing some hatch lines. This portion of the outfit, it just have a bunch of repeated lines. That's it. And the same thing on the back portion of it. I cleaned that up because you don't see that portion of his arm. So that's going to do it. This completes the drawing, and I appreciate you stopping by. And overall, if you notice, everything is completed. Feel free to give me your opinion on it. You know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Pressing this round button at the bottom. Also, click on one of the 2 top videos at the top. Please like this video, tell a friend, and share it on Facebook. Thank you. Perry Pencil.